There we go. Record it. Just in case. So yeah, last time we were able to penetrate the 50 weekly was back in April. I guess we technically did here, but convincing break. There's a lot of upside. We saw this golden cross on the weekly back in December and really haven't mustered much in really either direction, up or down. I was showing you guys this yesterday. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. So the inverted chart obviously is just the same thing. And this is what I'm seeing. I guess I was a little too conservative with this. Now I'll leave it where it was. What I'm really looking for here is, I would, obviously the 50 daily and 50 weekly would be amazing to break. And really kind of close to those prices anyway is this neckline potential. I would consider this inverted head and shoulder setup here confirmed if we can break right here about 7,880, 7,9, so 8K, make it a round pleasing number. That would complete the right shoulder and likely lead to a pretty fancy rally, which we have not really seen. This rally in October was brutal. This pump into the death cross and just miserable days of selling off, and now we've had, I'll take it from about right here, 43 days of what I consider sideways. I mean, this is just trading in a range. It's all perspective. You can say there's plenty of volatility here to trade, and you're probably right. It's just not really my style when it comes to Bitcoin at all. But this has been sideways as hell and really boring. We can see it reflected, even in chat here. Just lower viewers. I think around in October here, we had, I think on this pump, we had 450 people in here going nuts. Now that was obviously an outlier. That was a crazy move, but leading up to it, even we were pretty steady at about 200 viewers all the time. And throughout this sideways, we've had way less. And I'm not criticizing. I understand, man. You guys have noticed it too. Like, this is boring as hell. Even I've been less active, and we did have the holidays and things like that too. So, people have been busy. But this pattern resolving, however it's going to resolve, and right now I'm feeling more hopeful than I have through pretty much all of it. I think you guys know I've been looking for this right shoulder to print for a while now. And if we get a break, if we break this, this is, again, the inverted charts, this is actually upside down. But if we break this high, that was November 29th, I would imagine by that time the 100 daily will probably be right about there too. And that will really set us up for hopefully a continued rally. Oh, of course, as soon as I start speaking, we're going to have, we can get that squashed candle. Dang. Yeah, still 34 minutes left in it. Pretty good volume already. How does the volume compare to this? That's pretty interesting. January 2nd, this hourly candle has almost equal. Actually, that's really interesting. So even farther back, December 29th at 20 o'clock, when we were rejected from this trend line here in that rally, that volume is almost the exact same as this volume here, January 2nd, 17 hours, or 1700 hours. That is almost exactly the same volume. That's crazy. And then even crazier is that on the 3rd, we see the same volume again. That's pretty wild. Those are really, really, really similar volumes. And this is Coinbase, but it's not all exchanges. But this is I don't know. I would speculate maybe this is. It's the same. Could potentially be the same person, or at least kind of maybe bots all caught up in the same algorithm kind of wave thing. That's really weird. It is not super common to see 3 candles like this having kind of outlier volumes almost the exact same. That is wild. Let's see if there's any more. Nope, that's it. That's interesting. I don't know what to make of that, but that's pretty cool. Still waking up, but I was getting excited seeing it past this trend line. And of course it's going to punish me now for getting excited. Typical Bitcoin style. Let's check out some other stuff. Alright, 15 minute, we're riding that 50 up. That's pretty cool. This is a strange setup. I don't know what to make of this thing. Could be I think I said this earlier, but could be an ascending channel, and this is what that would look like, probably something like this, which is not ideal for continuation up. I don't usually see ascending channels break up in Bitcoin, at least. What this really is kind of gibberish. I would say this is maybe closer to a flag. I don't know. This was the flag and it broke up. Then we came back down and retested that trend. Maybe 15 minutes, just too short of a time frame for this. What is this? This is like, I think a whale let their kid trade their Bitcoin today. This is like a diverging upwards channel? I don't even know, man. This is a funky pattern. I like it, but it is funky. 30 minute, we have the MA is primed for a cross. Unless this sells off very dramatically, we are going to see the 50 come up at least to the 200 at this point, just by how far it's already come. And we're seeing this set up across a lot of time frames, which is pretty cool. I always like that. It's cool. It's always nice to be able to identify honestly anything in a chart. Seeing patterns, seeing whatever, seeing potential setup. But the one thing that I really like is when you're seeing something similar across many time frames. Seeing something in one time frame, is really just not a great way to trade, in my opinion. Really think you want to see the same things appearing across many time frames. So hopefully we have that here. Let's check this out this way. So the 15 crossed, just like I said, the 100 is likely going to do here, or the 1 hour. So we moved to 30. 30, it's primed, like I was saying. 1 hour, same thing. Prices above the 50, 100, and 200, and they are spread out in the opposite direction, as in prices. Current price action is accelerating faster than the previous 100, 200, whatever bars. 2 hour, same setup. And 2 hour basically pumped, this big candle we got earlier, basically pumped through the death cross on the 2 hour again. This is why people say Bitcoin is manipulated, I think. A death cross is supposed to be a bearish signal, and a golden cross is supposed to be a bullish signal, but just doesn't always work out that way in Bitcoin, and probably why people think it's manipulated, or say it is. Okay, we get to the 3 hour. And we're seeing something a little different here. Now the 50 moving average is in between the 100 and 200, so that's a different setup. that is telling us something different. Oh, 102. So what this is telling us is, and it's still signaling the same thing, that recent price action is accelerating, and that it is higher, it is stronger than here. The 3 hour, we have a nice little bullish engulfing. Let's see, 7327. So this is going to be, if it hasn't already touched here, I would imagine it does. Let's see this back on the smaller time frames. Yep, okay. So it already kind of did a fake out wick. That is good. Let's see, 4 hour. 4 hour bullish engulfing. Now we are seeing moving averages so far on every hourly time frame we've looked at and smaller. We are seeing, certainly this is very similar. They're all very squeezed, which is reflective of this long period of sideways we see before. That makes total sense. Price hasn't really gone up or down very much. I know some of you feel like it has, but it has really ranged in a tight space for a long time. So that's pretty typical. The 4 hour still has a setup of the 50 under the 200, but the 100 is lagging a little bit lower, which means the last 200 bars are actually higher than the last 100 and the last 50. But interesting is the last 100 is lower than both the last 50 and the last 200. So that means, let's see, it's certainly going to be this little dip here. Probably because the 50 is no longer calculating this, and the 100 is. But then the 200 is also calculating this, which the 100 is probably not. I'm not going to count the bars. Let's see how far this goes. Let's see like exactly how many time frames. Okay, wait, that's an 8 hour. I'm not like awake yet. My brain is, why do I keep doing this? That took me like 6 attempts to try to find 300. That's sad. Okay. 5 hours, a little more spread out. Let's see. 200 swooping in. Ooh, that is a lot of movement. 5 hours, interesting. You see the 50 cross the 100 here, bullishly, reject, cross bullishly, and now it's setting what looks like a higher low on the 50 moving average. And they're still very close together. 1.1%. That's very, very close together. Okie doke, here we go. 6 hour 200 looks like is where we have stopped. Only an hour and 25 minutes left in this 6 hour candle. That is not ideal. We do see the largest candle being the first one, and then a smaller, and now this one looks to be even smaller. That is not a super great sign, guys, for this rally continuing, at least in the short term. We can see here. So smallest candle, bigger candle, even bigger candle, and then look what happens when we print the smaller one. So that is momentum blasting and then losing its power and swooping back, coming back down to a pivot, which I bet we can probably do the same thing in the other direction too. I'm not going to look upside down though. So that could be showing us a little loss of momentum here, which is not the end of the world. We have this pretty clear inverted head and shoulders. We were waiting on this right shoulder for a while, and I mean that printed perfectly. So this is either an inverse head and shoulders, or somebody really wants us to think it is, because this is very pretty even for Bitcoin, in my opinion. It's very clean, kind of easy to see, which makes me trust it less. So once we get to the 6 hour, we're getting a little more spread out on the moving averages. Here we go. A little treat on the 10 hour. So that is an awesome candle for the 10 hour. That is a great close. You see something very similar right here, and what's interesting, I think, is I believe right here is under the red trend line. Yep. And right here was under the red trend line. So you can see that price is very much averting that low trend. Drops under this red trend line, and that I can show you where that comes from in a minute. But very bearish, and then bam, you get this kickerish candle. Long wick underneath, big solid bar, and we see it again. In fact, we don't see this candle again until we hit this red line. We don't have any of those in between, really. We have rallies, but these aren't those kicker candles, which is something I made up, so don't worry if you don't know what that means. I call them kicker candles when a candle essentially signals it's going one direction. So at some point this candle was a very long red candle down here. And then before it closed, it manages to hammer. I mean, a hammer would be if it stopped basically right here and closed, and you have this little thin candle with a long wick. But instead of stopping there, it then just runs the other way. And you'll notice that there's usually a lot of volume associated with those kind of candles. This one here and here, they're the highest volumes in their respective kind of trading areas. And those are really usually very decent signs of reversal. We got one of these October 25th. That started that super rally. Actually here, lots of people have been asking me about this red trend line. So this red trend line comes from down here all the way back to December 14th. It is not the lowest trend line. Whoa, what is? I don't even know what this one is. I'm just gonna leave it. So if this doesn't manage to hold, and this does continuously move up in a linear progression, and this is a logarithmic chart, so as long as price is following any linear line, any trend line on a logarithmic chart, that means that it's moving exponentially. The line is linear, but due to the x-axis being logarithmic, that means that every 1 inch or whatever you want to say, whatever, it doesn't matter, any like specific measurement of movement up, each step up is going to be greater than greater in dollar value at least than the equal size before it, because it's logarithmic, and the farther you move up, it's doing it exponential. So really nothing can follow a logarithmic line forever, because it would reach infinity. So if this breaks, it's not the end of the world, but I would not like to see this break, and it's not because we have this guy down here. I think this is where lots of people are getting their super low calls right now. So a lot of people have been saying 5,000. Well, look where that is, pretty much right underneath where price is right now. On this lowest line here is 5K. So if we bearishly kind of dump out of this, I would be very surprised if this line doesn't hold. That would be very unusual for me. I expect this dotted red line to break once we've rallied again, hopefully this year and into next year, complete a bull market cycle, and then retrace. That retrace, I would expect to probably touch this line whenever that is. You can see that gets pretty high though as you move out. As this line continues up, man, it keeps trucking. So this thick red one, this low trend we've been looking at, it's not the last line of defense, but really ideally we don't want price to fall underneath it and stay, because we really want to hold this through the bull market and break it. Eventually it's going to break, and then find this line as a support that won't be tested at that point. That'd be the ideal setup for me. Let's get back. I got totally tangent. So 10 hour, little 50, 100 moving average, golden cross appearing. Ichi is not showing us anything that really relates to that cross, so kind of conflicting information. Briefly, cloud twisted green and then twisted red again. I'm gonna guess that was from this movement here, probably. Just selling off and then hitting a lower pivot. Let's try the 12 hour. See if the 12 hour has anything for us. 8,000, 8,500. Wow. MACD. I'm gonna sneeze. Man, that MACD. It is, you do, okay, so right here on the MACD, you see this twisting basically at the 0 point. You see this a lot before squeezes. You see this before large movements. I wonder if there's one. Probably not one that pretty. Well, here we go. September. When, so yeah, when we really started falling, right? Yep. So you can see here in September we had kind of a similar touch here. That one broke down, and that was the fall from 10K. So that was a big move. That was a 30% move very quickly. Now, having this coiling here does not mean that it's going to go down. It does not mean that it's going to go up either. This is just the most recent example where we see a little bit of this coiling. The one right now is actually even larger, more exaggerated. But what you will see in my experience is when you get this, when oscillators are very tightly pushed into the 0 range, like the neutral, you get big breaks. Get big breaks in one direction or the other. Here's an example of the other way around. So you see this coiling, touched 0, almost touched 0 again, and that was this explosive start of this move. So the coiling is not bearish or bullish, but there absolutely is a correlation with essentially how long oscillators are held close to 0 and big moves. So that makes me think there's probably a big move coming. That is some nice coiling. This is saying it's crossing already, but this like MACD lags, so this can uncross. You can't really, you can like try to extrapolate, but until the candle closes, this can uncross. This can look totally different by the time it closes. It has 7 hours to do so. Huh. This 12 hour looks pretty nice actually. What I was saying earlier about during the rallies, so that the candles were getting smaller, and that wasn't a great sign for a continuation. Well, there's 7 hours left in this candle. So this candle has plenty of time. Say it can move up this far. It's like 8,000. That would make it larger than this one, and that would signal to me that it's going to continue. So on the short time frames we were looking at, we saw that maybe the rally was slowing down or losing steam. Which one was it, on the hour maybe? This 4 hour? I don't know. I can't find it now. But that was on the shorter time frame, but the longer time frame is showing us that there is definitely potential to not lose this momentum. That goes back to what I was saying earlier about you want to find signs that are across time frames, or at least have agreement. If you see a signal on the one day and you're like, oh no, the one day has some super bearish or bullish signal, what do I do? That doesn't mean that there's going to be any response right away. That response could take a long time, and what you'll notice is in most cases, that response will be visible. It'll start being visible across the shorter time frames until it kind of erupts into the longer one. Man, this is a great morning. This is a great morning for Bitcoin. I'm digging it. I still don't know what the F this is. Anybody have any thoughts on what this is? This is a goofy looking squigglies. Great morning indeed. I'm digging it. Man, I'm just glad there's some volatility. Like, I'm just too ADD to see the same price every day for a month. It drives me nuts. Alright, so yeah, bull flag. This is kind of floundery, weird movement though. We did break the local high. That's nice. We broke it. 1, 2, 3, 4-ish times. It can break bullish. It certainly can. I think that there's things to suggest that it will, but what we're really aiming for is that break of the 50 moving daily and the 50 weekly. That would be much more confirmation than this. At this point, what I'm afraid of... Let's see. I may have to go back to find it. What I'm afraid of is that we've seen this kind of pattern here. Mostly starts with sideways. Actually, I wouldn't say it looks a lot like this on every example I'll be able to find. Looks like kind of a bleeding sideways, dips, and then rallies. It breaks. Yeah, it breaks above this U shape. So if you just think about like this right here, I'll go back and find some examples. But this kind of bleeding sideways, lower, and then rallying up. This is I think the market has trained us to be afraid of this now. This big green candle with a wick, because man, how many times recently have we seen this play out badly? Right here, you know, the October 25th. This is a good example. This is more exaggerated, obviously, but it's still a similar thing. You have this bleedy kind of sideways droppy. A rally that gets sold off hard, and then we dump it again. I think this happened, yeah, right here. Here's two examples in the same picture. Wow, that's pro. So you get the drop, rally, higher than when it started, and then it sells off. And everybody knows what happened then. Here's another example. This one's not actually quite as good. This one isn't. It is higher than when the U shape started printing, but it's that damn U with the wick on the right side with the higher movement. It has really been a troubling shape for us in the last few months. I'm not seeing too many great examples before that, but we've seen that a lot. So I actually said that. I don't know if I still have the note there. Nope. I actually said that on October 25th. I made a little note here, and I was like, please don't be this. Please don't be a fractal of this. And it wasn't necessarily a fractal, but it was still a similar price thing. Rally, selling off, and hitting a lower low. So here we are all the way over here, and this definitely looks a little different. We kind of avoided that shape by continuing the rally here, but you still see that U with the wick on the right side, and that should make no one comfortable, to be honest. No one should feel comfortable with that. Certainly you can be bullish on this price movement, but that is a very unsettling shape for now. Until we see it play out, you know, in a way that holds its gains, it is a troubling shape. And I mean, wicks usually, in general, Dutchman, like wicks are indicative of pressure pushing the other way. Usually I don't pay too much attention to a wick unless it's a candle with high volume. When it's a candle with high volume, usually those wicks become more telling of price movement. But you could say this was high volume. It wasn't the craziest high volume ever, but it was pretty high. It was roughly equal to any of the other high volume candles in the last month or so. But that is always a sign I look for. If candle has lots of volume and a large wick, it's probably gonna lose steam there because there's a lot of coins being traded back and forth. Let's see anything interesting back here. But here's an example where that didn't play out. So you have this big red candle with a large bottom wick with high volume, and that did not reverse the price. And if you look down here, it almost took no volume to push it down again in comparison. So it took a ton, and then all of a sudden just like none in comparatively, even all the way down to when it set the low here. So it just goes to show that really there really are no definites in trading. Ooh, the Iran local Bitcoin topic. That is a cool topic. That's a good one. Good reminder. Let me pull this up. Hopefully this time copy and paste doesn't betray me. I don't know what happened. Huh. That's interesting. So we looked at this earlier. Local Bitcoins, online, Iran, Republic, Islamic, I don't know. No idea where this is. I'm assuming it's in Iran, and it says that IRR is their currency. So what's interesting actually additionally here that I'm noticing is when we looked this up earlier, there were actually 4 postings. Now there's only 1. So 1 Bitcoin is trading for 1 billion IRR. So guys, good news. All you have to do is fly to Iran, sell 1 Bitcoin, and now you are a Iranian Ral billionaire. So you made it, guys. You mooned. You're billionaires in Riles. So the real interesting thing here is that 1 billion Riles, whatever, is actually $32,000 USD. So that means that, and the volume on this is certainly not going to be anything super impressive, but in Iran, on local Bitcoins, you are paying $32,000 a Bitcoin. That is 5 times spot right now. Yeah, that's a big deal. 4.5, whatever. That's a big deal. That is huge. Like I said, all you have to do is fly to Iran. No, don't do that. This probably would not work out. But this is something that I've always kind of pushed to you guys, and this might be the first time you guys are seeing this in real time, but this has happened many times. And not in Iran necessarily, but I remember one from 2017 about Zimbabwe. I'm just kind of winging it right now, so I don't have good examples written. But I remember at least one in Zimbabwe. There's been more. Bitcoin tends to feed off of kind of global uncertainty, global unrest, global conflict. You know, it makes sense. We've seen articles about Hong Kong or something, like Hong Kong people with bank issues and them buying Bitcoin or something. I don't think that they've had any kind of exaggerated price like this, probably at all, anything similar. But Bitcoin it really does thrive off of those scenarios, when people aren't sure, when people don't know if their money is going to be there tomorrow. They don't know if they're going to, if someone's going to take it from them because of conflict, or if they want to have access to it. That does feed Bitcoin. And right now, that's local in Iran. Maybe some surrounding areas. The price is probably also seeing a little uptick from people kind of arbitraging from other areas. But when you sell a Bitcoin for $32,000 and you're like that's your job or that's what you do for money, what are you going to go do? Well, you're probably going to go buy another Bitcoin for $7,000, 7,000 US, wherever you can get it. That is arbing coins out. That is bringing coins from, wherever they can buy them. I don't know. But it is, I think, a reasonable scenario that those people, having sold something for 32,000, are going to go purchase that thing again for 7 and net the difference, try to sell another one. That's demand. That is like a testament to Bitcoin's use. Also, is when life is perfect, maybe Bitcoin. This is gonna sound blasphemous, but when life is perfect, maybe Bitcoin isn't the first thing that should be on your mind or the first thing on people's minds. But when life isn't perfect, your thinking is changed. You have different priorities, you have different fears, and those things clearly can feed into Bitcoin. Argue whatever you want, but the fact that Iran itself is trading Bitcoin at $35,000 is, proof positive. Unless there's some crazy other reason going on there that isn't related to it, but that makes me skeptical. I would be skeptical of a different explanation. I think that's the most logical. Something else I wanted to talk about today. Today is Proof of Keys Day. This is pretty much the only Bitcoin holiday we have. Really, it's just tradition, I guess. Something for the community to do together, or organize. We are not really an organized group for the most part. So Proof of Keys, you can type this command in chat if you want, or if you don't know what it is. But basically, every January 3rd, people are encouraged to take their Bitcoin off of exchange and put it in their wallets. And so, other than the community aspect, there's probably 2 other facets of this. One, people are lazy and just forget to take it off, even though they mean to. And this is a reminder for that. That's good. And 2, indirectly, I think that was, kind of everyone's secret hope is indirectly they hope that it influences price. And now that has some logic behind it. Exchanges, this is something people might not be aware of, is when you're trading coins on an exchange, you're buying and selling Bitcoin. You're not actually buying or selling Bitcoin at that point. And that's to say that there's no transaction to the blockchain, that's moving the coins to your wallet when you buy or sell. That only happens when you withdraw and when you deposit. So what people hope is that by encouraging people to remove their Bitcoin from exchange, they're reducing the total supply that's available on that exchange. And so that can mean even a few things itself. Is one, just total, there's less coins to be sold. That by itself is a good thing for price to move up. And 2, the kind of more tinfoil hat, but it's not really a conspiracy at all, because this certainly is reality, is because you're not actually trading these coins, and you're really just trading numbers on their their record keeping. Coinbase just says you have 1 Bitcoin, this guy has 2 Bitcoin. When you trade, it just edits your numbers. Coinbase might be a bad example because they're more regulated. So just say shitcoin exchange, whatever. Especially bad actors. What's to prevent them from selling coins that don't exist? What's to prevent them from saying you have these coins, and in the back of their mind, they're just saying, well, as long as everyone doesn't withdraw at once, we're fine, and if everyone tries, then we'll halt withdrawals, and it'll be a whole shenanigan, but then hopefully by the time it gets kind of out of hand or in the media or whatever, we'll have enough and we'll be able to cover it. So by withdrawing Yeah, solvency. It's exactly. People say it's a solvency check, and it is. It is in ways. Everyone withdrawing their coins doesn't stop them from doing kind of derivative practice, and withdrawing coins doesn't actually check if they're solvent necessarily, unless they're incredibly insolvent. But what it does do is it limits their ability to do that. So every exchange that you've ever heard of, hopefully, has some kind of risk management, has some kind of understanding. Even banks do this. Banks derivative dollars or derivative whatever, and they have some formula, whatever's in their sauce of, we need to have 50%, or we need to have 75%, or we need to have 25% of the asset that we are, actually selling, so that they have some ability to settle transactions. And so by people in mass removing coins, we are taking away at least some of that ability to make derivatives. If they have 1 million coins and 100,000 are withdrawn, now they only have 90,000. So if they were able to lend out 2 million coins before, now they can only lend out 1.8 million, and that should, I wouldn't say it's going to always have a direct impact on price, but logically it should have a impact on price. There's less circulation, but specifically, it's Bitcoin dollar pair. You're removing the Bitcoins. You can't go on to Coinbase and buy Bitcoin with your Bitcoin. You can't. You can't you need the dollars to do it. I'm getting lost here. Basically, by removing the Bitcoin side of it, you're making it more scarce on the exchange, and removing sell orders or whatever. That's sell pressure. So I think it's a good thing. I don't know why people would, not want to do this. It's not a bad thing. Oh yeah, I kind of figured out what I was saying. You can't buy Bitcoin with Bitcoin, obviously. So you're not removing any of the buy pressure by taking your Bitcoin off. You're only removing possible sell pressure. That was my point. And really what it is I think, especially newer people haven't been around for some of the shenanigans in the space. If your coins aren't in your wallet, they are not safe. You may be okay with the level of risk or the level of safety that you feel you have on an exchange, and that's on you. I do not. I just think it's a bad decision. Transaction fees are low. Some withdrawal fees on exchanges kind of suck, but it's worth it. You can say, that'll never happen to me, but that's pretty much what's happened to everyone who's ever had anything happen to them, has said, that's not going to happen to me. And then it did. And the problem is that, so if we go back to Mt. Gox in 2014, it's been 6 years now. And these people, their coins were taken from the exchange, hacked, stolen, whatever. It's 6 years later and they're still settling. They're still not settled. The creditors still aren't paid back. So you can think, oh, I'll be fine. Especially on Coinbase, it's insured, whatever. But the problem with Bitcoin is you can't print more of it. So if Coinbase lost all their Bitcoin, they don't have a way to give you it back. Literally. And they would, do probably exactly what Mt. Gox does, tie up litigation forever to avoid paying it, as long as they can, and then they would settle in cash. And they'll probably settle in cash at the price, they'll settle in cash at whatever price is the lowest. If it was lower when it was taken, or if it's lower by the time they're forced to pay, they're going to try to screw you out of it. Price of Bitcoin 7,300 right now, and Mt. Gox, I think the last settlement number I heard was 7,300, or sorry, 730 or something. So they're settling for a tenth of what they could have gotten for it right now. It's just not a good gamble because no one is really able to make it right. If someone steals from the bank, FDIC insurance, whatever, they can make it right by essentially just giving them dollars, but no one can really just give them Bitcoin to remedy it or to make you whole after something like that. So yeah, that's the importance, is security. It also kind of defeats the purpose of Bitcoin if you keep it on an exchange. You're taking decentralized asset and putting it in a centralized exchange. So it really doesn't have any function, or doesn't really take advantage of anything that makes it Bitcoin. So I don't know why people wouldn't want to do this. If you don't trust yourself to set up a wallet or something, I guess I can understand that. There's a lot of good resources out there to do it, and it's really not difficult. It's a little scary your first times, but it is something everyone should know how to do in this space anyway. Yeah, Dutchman, you're telling me Bittrex, actually I think in a week or two here, is forcing know your customer, KYC. And so I decided, obviously unrelated because I am a good person, and whatever, unrelated, decided to withdraw all my coins. And holy crap, man, it took so long. Proof of Keys Day is really only about Bitcoin. Certainly it applies to every coin, but it's mostly targeted towards Bitcoin. So if you don't feel like doing that and removing all of your coins, that is fine. I don't think anybody would really argue it. I think you're still in the spirit of the holiday by withdrawing your Bitcoin from exchange. A cast just on wallets. Actually, yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea, Bob. People, I remember it. I experienced it too. Like, there is definitely some intimidation and anxiety about using wallets in the beginning. Now I've used them so frequently and for so long that really I trust them 100%. It's second nature now, and that's something that's interesting. People say it's too complicated or confusing for the average person. I mean, it is at first, and so was using the internet when I first got it. I didn't know how to do anything. But now it's second nature, and it really, that can be, anyone can reach that point. It's not complicated. I think it's just the terminology and kind of the foreign concept that is intimidating at first. But it really goes away. I don't even look now. Like, I remember I used to send any transaction I sent, I would just sit there and hit refresh over and over and over again and like wait for confirmations, and then I honestly would freak out every transaction basically. At some point or another, especially to exchanges, because that shit took forever. I would freak out and think I did it wrong, and I think I lost it, and I would like have a little mini panic attack, and then it would always end up getting there. Out of the thousands of Bitcoin transactions that I've had sending and receiving, I have lost zero. I've had zero coins not go to where they were supposed to. So don't worry too much. The important part is to just double, triple check your wallet address when you put it in every single time. And I still do this, even though I'm so used to it and comfortable with it. I still go back and check every time, at least once, the entire address versus where I'm getting it from, and make sure that they're the same. Because if they're the same and it's correct, the odds of anything unexpected happening is very low. Let's see, I think it was Vishan. Sorry if I'm saying your names wrong. It's hard to tell how to pronounce people's names when they don't, say it out loud. Wait, this isn't what I wanted, crap. But Vashon was saying something about Bitcoin Cash earlier. You guys know I pretty consistently look to Litecoin for signals and possible Bitcoin price movements. Where is this? But Vashon was saying something about Bitcoin Cash front running, and when I checked, he's certainly right. It is right now. For that to be, for me, the kind of signal I look for in Litecoin. Where the heck did this go? We'll have to see Bitcoin continue to rally here to confirm that. Randomly, coins take turns rallying before and during Bitcoin. What is going on with this? Why can't I find that? This is really frustrating. Where did this go? That's what I have up now. I made one that was Ethereum XMR. Maybe I'll just look up XMR. That might. Okay, let's hope. Yep, there it is. Yep. Bam. Okay. So we're seeing some BCH action. I'm gonna check to see when it started. Though we did have a breakout here a few days ago. Pulled back but then continued, which is usually the case on these breakouts on the alts, the Bitcoin pair. Just go to the hour. When did this start? Let's see, 4:30. 4:30. So yeah, that's pretty close. That's pretty good. I guess the reason I usually prefer Litecoin is the correlation here. So you see 4:30 right here. We have a red candle on Bitcoin Cash. And at 4:30 was when we got this huge green candle on Bitcoin. So when I see Litecoin working as an indicator, Litecoin will tend to start this rally maybe a candle or two actually before Bitcoin, and that's why I prefer it personally. That's why I really use it as a kind of a pseudo indicator a lot of the time, because it really does enjoy doing that. We are not seeing too much here. Wait, did we even get a signal here? Computer's being so slow. Yeah, look, so 3 o'clock, and let's break that down actually. Yep, I mean it's at the exact same time at least, but a lot of the time you'll see Litecoin do this first. So Litecoin was actually green the 2 candles before, and then pumped with it, whereas we saw I need to restart this computer soon. Whereas we saw BCH sell off the candles before. That doesn't mean that, Bcash can't be an indicator or anything. Certainly it can. I was just trying to, I guess, describe why I feel Litecoin's usually a good indicator, or at least it can be a valuable one. Whew. Yif, that is trucking. Let's put a fancy little line here. keep an eye on BCH. I think BCH has potential for some very, very strong upside. Whew. Ripple. Yeah. Ouch, man. Ripple shot the bed on this daily. See, again, this is interesting and goes along with what we were saying here a second ago. So at 3 p.m., it's like 3:30. Let's go down. XRP just got pretty like slaughtered as soon as that started. Straight down, not being an indicator of much. But this is how I see most altcoins respond to Bitcoin pumping, is these kind of exaggerated hard drops, and Litecoin, for whatever reason, and I don't have a reason, seems to move the opposite of that a lot of the time. F-wick down, narrow, boring. Coming back into here, are we? Yep. 1 hour. Alright, so this is 15 minutes of selling off. Still very low volume on this candle, especially after the previous one. So I would expect this candle does not close right here. It doesn't seem like it's matured enough, from these moves we're seeing going on. This looks like maybe just clearing. Though on the hourly we do have this kind of nasty double tweezer top. That is not super bullish. Let's check it out on the higher time frame now. I think this is going to take a while to resolve today. 3 hours. This 3 hours seems to be pretty interesting. Pretty strong looking candles. And that closes in 41 minutes, so that's probably good to keep an eye on at that time when this hourly closes. Dutchman wondering if it's setting up for a pullback. God, whenever I started making this video, or whenever I did this earlier, I was talking about that pattern of the U with the higher side wick, and how we've seen that a lot, and how it has not been a bullish sign, and we're all kind of afraid of it. Although this pattern, I didn't talk about this one earlier. This is the first time we saw it and then got another leg up, I feel, in a long time. So that's interesting for what's going on here. But, this pattern. So I don't think it's pulling back. I think that we are either going to see this repeat here. We're going to see the high wicking down, some sideways movement, another leg up. Or we're going to see this crappy pattern that we've been seeing for the last many months, where we have the dip, the pump, huge wick, and then just bearish movement after that. So pullback, I'm not so sold on. I don't think we're gonna see, like, I expect these lows to keep coming up. If we're going to, or if we're gonna go sideways, we'll probably still hold this low, move sideways and up, or we're just gonna see, this bleeding happen again. I would not expect, okay, here's where it is. So I'm either looking for this kind of thing, so maybe sideways and up, or the terrible October, November bleedy crap nonsense down to a lower low. Because now this I think even on the daily. Now this inverted head and shoulders pattern is pretty much complete. And this is pretty complete. And we could, let's see. Yeah, pretty much complete. So I'm expecting a real move to happen soon. I think we're gonna get a break in one direction or the other. There we go. Volatility is moving up. We got our third little hit here of a higher RSI on the daily. Definitely see it coming back to this trend though. So this is what we're hoping for again. Just that continuous higher lows of RSI leading into a huge rally that hopefully does not end like October 25th. That's really what we want. Smooth curve. This could be this could be like a reversal-y pattern. Could of course always just shit the bed again, but it's gotta go sometime. Bitcoin is not going to bleed out forever. It doesn't like to do anything forever. It's not gonna just go up continuously forever or go down continuously forever. So we're gonna have to break this god awful boring pattern. I wonder if this actually has been recording the whole time. Oh, it has. Cool. I'm good.